We are going to wing it. I hit the live button a little early today. So we are going live with my friend Skullcap SaVant, also known as Ben. You guys know him. He is our V-Steg master. Today we saw a couple of Hollywood's greats leave this earth. And we saw Meg Moonbeam talking about this with the new moon coming around. There was this portal. We were going to maybe see some, public personas passing. And we did see, I can't remember that guy from Bill Cosby, one of the children or whatever stars, child stars passing. And then we saw Hulk Hogan earlier today. And then yesterday it was, what's his name? Ozzy Osbourne. And so, of course, with the V-Steg and a lot of the Road to Ruta stuff, we've been following Oz and the Wizard of Oz and all of that. And so I figured we would go down that rabbit hole. I'm sure Skullcap has a lot to say about that. So let's see what he has to say. I'm kind of springing this on him because I did not let him know that I clicked the live button accidentally. So here we go. We'll be right back with Skullcap right after this. Surprise! You're muted. I still can't hear you. I'm sorry. Maybe it's me. Nope, it's you. I can't hear you. We'll try one more thing. See, it's legit that I'm.
How about now? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. Wonderful. So we are here. Tomorrow is 7/7/7.
Yeah, you want to hear how do you say probably not surprising to you, but Ozzy Osbourne has been part of the Wizard of Oz epic for more than just this last week. Like
okay.
He I put a link in the chat.
Okay.
There's a video I did about this. I think it was
oh wow.
It was going on 5 years ago now.
During the Great Infection.
It was during 2020. Yeah. Ozzy released his final album during the 2020 COVID crisis. And I did a dissertation about some of the steganography that was hidden with, here's the thing. Like, I mourned Ozzy a little bit this week. I grew up as a high school kid in Seattle during the grunge era in the 90s. And it was like angsty and, anti-authority. But what was even more anti-authority was the metal movement that came out of the 60s. And my dad was even a classic rock fan. He liked Pink Floyd and Styx and Bad Company and even Ted Nugent and, all this stuff from the 70s. But he never understood the heavy metal aspect of things. And for a moment, I'd just like to recognize the brilliance of what Black Sabbath was before the MK Ultra apparatus got a hold of Ozzy, because that's actually what this video is about. This video is a tie-in, the one that you show on screen here from 2020, tied into his album that he released. You see the Ozzy on the right-hand side with the bat wings that I characterized him with the derby hat and the screaming caricature. So this is Ozzy, right?
Okay.
And on the left is John Osborne, the character that began Black Sabbath, right? He was the poet. He was the soft-souled. Like, look at the difference, for instance, just like the dichotomy between the beginning of that's John Osborne, Ozzy, on the left when he started Black Sabbath in the late 60s. And on the right,
this is the same person?
Same person.
Wow.
So Well, and this is what my dad didn't understand. Black Sabbath invented a genre that was, it was satire, is what it was. Everybody understands what a goth kid is now, right? Like, oh, they're these emotional, they're wearing black, they're wearing crosses and stuff. Like almost, they're almost like overemphasizing
The rebellion
of the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
They're adorning themselves in regalia that is kind of over the top, just like the Vatican is. It's opulent. And Black Sabbath did this. They adorned themselves in not vibrant colors, but in dark colors. Because, I mean, lyrics such as, would you like to see the Pope on the end of a rope? Do you think he's a fool? You know, like they did not like established religion. And their lyrics were very poetic in the sense of, you're not living the only life you'll ever live. Don't waste the experience you have on this planet, because you'll refresh yourself into the never-ending well. All of your experiences that they're very much kind of singing about what Cliff High talks about with the metempsychoses. They're singing about this shit in the 60s. And it's very transformative. It's very, very penetrating to the soul. And it's all love, peace, and understanding. If you look at the poetry of the first 5 Black Sabbath albums, Ozzy is characterized as this demonic soul, and I think a lot of things changed when he bit the head off of the dead bat on stage. That was kind of like a defining moment of the fracture of the mind of the man versus the character. But this video here goes into a dissertation about what the fuck happened. And there's a great connection that I found between what was going on with that metal movement in the 70s and what was also going on with the original digital currency movement in the 70s, and who was the original Satoshi Nakamoto and the Steve Jobs aspect of things. And this is not a surprising beat for me to have come up now. He died on the 22nd. We can go into the gematria of that at some other point, because that'll just get us off track from other stuff.
Well, that's V-Steg, 22nd.
But this video is worth people watching, because believe it or not, this is the first one that YouTube started banning. They banned it fucking hard. And I was a smaller-ish channel. I only ever got to like 1,500 people following my YouTube, but this one kept getting banned no matter what the fuck I did to cut it up and to filter it and censor it. But now you can watch the whole thing on Rumble. It hasn't been banned on Rumble yet, but it's worth considering, like, the think piece that this thing is in reverence to Ozzy. God love the lyrics that he created in those first 5 albums with Bill Ward.
When he was with Black Sabbath.
When he was with Black Sabbath.
When he was
this video actually shares the tragic story of what happened with the character of Ozzy after, breaking up with Black Sabbath, right? In the early 80s and becoming the solo act.
I don't know the story.
Well, there's a suspicion that I have. So Ozzy married a very soft, kind-hearted teacher. Her name was, what was her name? Just a sec.
Not Ozzy. Sharon, not the current.
No. Her name is Thelma Riley. They were only married for like 10 years, but they had 2 kids together. And she was just a very, soft, kind-hearted person. And I think they were a really good match. If you look at the pictures of John Osborne and Thelma Riley, you won't even hardly see Ozzy. Like, just look up Thelma Riley and John Osborne pictures, and you'll see this very kind-hearted soul just in the eyes. Just like look in the eyes of Ozzy, you'll see it. I don't know how else to describe it other than to see it for yourself. Are you doing an image search for this? We could show people. No. Look up Thelma Riley and Ozzy.
Okay.
Or John Osborne or something. A lot of people don't know that he married this chick, because when they broke up, when he broke up with Black Sabbath was kind of when he broke up with her. It's like right around the same period of time. And the first album that Ozzy did was called Blizzard of Oz. And yeah, there they are. There they are. Look how happy he is with his 2 kids. Like, look at him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Something fractured in his mind. And Ozzy points to this. Ozzy in the interviews, it comes out even when he's struggling out on drugs in the 80s. He's almost like begging for mercy in a way, like he's gone on too long already. And this is as of the 80s because of whatever was done to his mind. There are these famous quotes that Ozzy actually rendered in the 80s that he was saying, like, I don't know how I'm still alive. I want to donate my brain to science when I die because it's inexplicable how I could have survived what my brain's been put through, kind of a thing. And there's all these weird artifacts about what I think Sharon is as a handler of sorts that channeled the soft-souled poetic mind of John Osborne into the character of Ozzy. And he was struggling with this his whole rest of his life. I felt bad for the guy, honestly. When you look at this shit and you consider it for yourselves, you know, Ozzy, if you go look at those 5 albums and read the poetry of them, he left a mark on the world that's going to be lasting because it's very transformative shit. All of it. There are songs about how marijuana and cannabis can open your mind. There are songs about how there's one called National Acrobat people should look up. National Acrobat is all about disregarding government control networks, talking about like regaining sovereignty for your mind, talking about discarding what the lies are that you're taught in the school system in favor of thinking for yourself. You know, the whole there's one called Spiral Architect, which is all about the illusion that we all live in, what the part we play in, and the participatory nature of God, what the nature of God is, who those people are on this earth that are trying to commandeer our minds in service of their own needs to turn us away from God, right? They're just brilliant clues within all of the lyrics of the guy. So I hope I'm doing a service to him in celebrating what he gave to me specifically. He helped my mind and Black Sabbath in general when I was in my more formative years kind of adapt some really tough thoughts way before I even found like Cliff High's work in college, like I've told you, you know? So I'll always thank him for that. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Ozzy. The part he plays in the Oz Ritual, I don't know if he really had agency in. I think he was a pawn in the game. But here we are. We are in the after effect, in the wake of his death, and the effects on the spell casting, at least, there's a weird attempt at something bizarre as it pertains to Oz, right? And whatever the time rituals are. Remember, my whole argument with Oz is that there are grand spells being cast that are cast upon our mind's template in order to help misalign our perception with the unfolding of the events. The Mandela effect is one of the after effects, I think, of this, you know, like misremembered details. You know what the Mandela effect is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, they would have you believe that in the popular narrative, the Fruit of the Loom logo never had a cornucopia in it, which is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, the Bernstein, Bear.
Yeah. The collective memory is the key, right? It's not whatever the fuck this illusion is, this Maya is. And there's a component that was locked onto with the creation of the heavy metal genre, creating a caricature and a de facto kind of satire of the Catholic Church and religion in general in favor of a more spiritual understanding about how things actually are. There's your message. And the powers that be couldn't have that. And you can see strict Steganography based mind control type spell casting very much put into the picture to disenfranchise Ozzy from Black Sabbath after the 5 albums. In fact, they made 5 beautiful albums, and then the 6th one where they broke up was called Sabotage. what's that all about?
Was
Right?
he the only one to have left?
Yeah. Yep. They got a different lead singer in. Forgot what the lead singer's name is. It's escaping me right now. But they persisted through the 80s as a continuation band, kind of like how Van Halen did, you know. It's not
Okay.
like they lost notoriety by switching lead singers, but Ozzy was Ozzy, right? Ozzy went on to the solo act where the mind control really sunk in deep. And anyway, it sucks. I think Sharon was his handler, and I don't know if he led anything but a tortured life from the 80s onward, kind of a thing.
Was that part of the drugs and all of that? You know, that seems to be a theme with a lot of these, like Hollywood, you know, even Kanye and all of the Britney. We watched a lot of these where they seem to have, I don't know if you call it a handler, but it can even be a parent. Look at
Look at the Olsen twins.
Britney. Okay. Yeah. I don't know the Olsen twins story, but I think about, what was that other girl? Ashley something, Simpson or whatever.
Jessica Simpson's sister.
Jessica Simpson and Ashley Simpson, all those. And then they end up like, you know, with the Kanye thing, he was like, they literally like put me on medication
They killed Brittany Murphy because Brittany Murphy started talking too much. They couldn't keep her under the spell.
Right. That where they were going to be like mentally ill.
Yeah.
And then, or what they did to, not Whitney Houston, but what was that lady with the talk show? Wendy Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have them committed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they lose their intellectual property. They put them in, have them committed. They lose control of their, you know, their
faculties.
Yes. Well, and their trust fund their, you know, all of their.
Yeah. They're mentally incapacitated enough to where they can't have power of attorney over their own funds anymore. Oh, you know, exactly. It's a shame, but this is the apparatus of Hollywood, and entertainment plays a pretty big part on the templating of keeping us bound in to that narrative aspect of whatever the fuck they're trying to keep us from. It's mostly history based. Everybody should know this by now. They really don't want you to know history. They don't want you to know what the fucking facts are, and they brandish all this other shit in your way like sticks in your bicycle spokes just to trip you up. And people, that's what's been fascinating to me with any form of expression. People usually, the psychicness of us usually escapes. It can't be stopped. Take Ozzy for an example, and you just look at the pure soul that he is. And that's my dissertation on that video, how he started out. If you lived from day one of Black Sabbath, you'd have a very different representation and probably perspective around how the aim of their messaging started out versus how it got construed after the mind control sets in. And there's a tendency to capture all these creative points of expression that start to generate some sort of rocking of the boat in the narrative. He was very, very effective. He created an entire genre alongside his band called heavy metal that was now satire. And the only way that they could commandeer it, if you look at how it progressed, is they had to insert a more satanic tone with other bands that they lofted up into that genre in order to adulterate it. This is the Jewish kind of like Capitol Records industry makers kind of guys that I'm talking about right now, right? They steer that public perception toward what they want the perception of the popular culture to convey, you know?
The messaging.
Yeah. And they don't like people like Ozzy or Muhammad Ali that just go off script all the fucking time. You know, like people that have these larger than life personalities that are natural entertainers funny enough that they need them in order to persist this mind control, but they're the ones that you can't control the most because they have the most to say, the most to speak out about, the most to.
So not to get off script here, but we also saw the passing of Hulk Hogan today. And I was reading where he submitted and gave his life to Christ just a few months ago. And then now there's like some bubbling up that, well, no, he didn't actually die. He just had like a surgical procedure and maybe he's in protective custody. And
well, this would be the natural kayfabe of, you know, that he comes from a world of kayfabe, and the kayfabe could very, very much be this could be our new Elvis. You know, who knows? It would be very interesting if he starts getting compared to Elvis, by the way, because of the alien connotation that Elvis has with Nixon. This is part of the conspiracy of why Elvis went off books. Or did he die? Did he die right away? Was he alive for a while? You know, same thing with Hitler, right? Like, oh, all of a sudden there's all this possibility from these all these Argentinian files where it looks like he lived at least into the 70s and all this shit, you know, and people have suspected this fear. I saw Elvis, I swear, you know, they have these accountings all throughout the 80s and 90s and shit. And so he's connected to that UFO file because Nixon apparently showed him and Jimmy Gleason both, took them both to Area 51 personally, kind of a thing. And I don't know how much you've ever dug into that story, but that's part of the V-Steg tapestry also. What's hiding behind the Oz color coding of purple and gold. Purple and gold are both colors that are designated as the crown chakra. They're interchangeable.
And royalty. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also where your intuition comes in. And so what I identified sometime into the steganography work is that when these two colors come up together, like in ritual form, it's significant because it's showing that there is a manipulation of the crown chakra, a manipulation of the radio frequency that your antenna, your brain is going to interpret to bring itself into interpreting the event stream. And things like this, where inexplicably Elvis always wears white and gold, white and gold, white and gold. You see him in, you know, the King in Las Vegas and shit. But when he visits the White House this one time to go see Richard Nixon, he's wearing purple velour and gold trim. Just an inexplicable suit. He's wearing this thing to the White House. He's photographed doing this. And then they go off for the evening to God knows where. They get on a flight and nobody knows where they went. And, you know, will we see the kayfabe play out in the same way as Elvis is what I'm saying. I don't know, but I was making it was interesting to make the connections even back last year. I've talked to you about the Buffalo significance, city of Buffalo, right? And for those uninitiated in this, I know we talk a lot about like the Hudson Bay and shit this year, but before Lisa and I ever got on these current like summer long threads, it's worth note it's noteworthy that the city of Buffalo is at the center of a lot of the spell casting related to the suppression of the technology that comes from Tesla's era. Little known fact, it seems, among even Tesla enthusiasts, that part of his rise to fame was that he created, before any of the Wardenclyffe Tower or even started to get into the electric AC generators, he had to create a proof of concept in order to continue his work in that direction. And he invented the hydroelectric dam, which he placed the first ones at Niagara Falls in Buffalo. Buffalo was also the spot where McKinley was assassinated and the place of the last kind of vestige of the World Fair era. And that all ended with McKinley dying in that fateful day in September in 1901, and also ended the arguments that were being had against the Jewish faction of like the Samuel Untermeyers and those guys that were in court trying to suppress the Silver Sherman Act and the Gold Standard Act that McKinley had advanced. He had advanced these to the point where we had no income tax or taxes really to speak of at the populace level, tons of tariffs, world fairs, Tesla technology coming to the fore. We were going to be a powerhouse, you know, industrially, all this shit, even Ford dartboard coming to the fore out of all this stuff.
Mhm.
Now, Buffalo ended up being the centerpiece of the campaign in some sort of a way, because we all heard Trump talk about McKinley in the sense that, oh, I'm going to be the tariff king like McKinley was, right? He was bringing a lot of McKinley's policies into his election campaigning last year over the summer. We had the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, July, and then we had his revival at the RNC about a week and a half later, right, with the bandage.
Well, and Trump even talked about renaming Denali Mount McKinley.
Right at that same event.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan spoke at that event, remember? It was 1 year and 1 week, 1 year and 1 week to the day that he died afterward, which I haven't looked into specific significance about that. But you remember when he went on stage, that defining, he ripped the shirt off and all this shit. Yeah. And remember also, everyone, that the texting code to support the Trump campaign was 880022. So you got your time ritual with 88, you got your VSTEG with your 22 at the end. Mm-hmm. So there's something that was going on there. And then also, if you remember, you can go back and look at the videos of the RNC in 2024. They unveiled a memorial of the Buffalo firefighter that died in the line of fire at the assassination attempt.
My goodness. Yeah.
And this was, I forgot what the fucking guy's name was, but he was the guy all along that I was saying, guys, that was the killer. He was the would-be killer. He was he got assassinated on purpose. He was the one in the crowd that they identified, that they had intel on. They never let Trump really truly get into harm's way, even though there was going to be an actual attempt. They kayfabed you guys, the populace, into thinking that the assassination attempt actually went off. Never did. They killed the guy first. And it's been my argument all along. And there's this weird Buffalo connection with all this stuff, right? Well, Hulk Hogan's somehow right there at the heart of this. And, you know, here I was within the V-Cypher Discord community that I've got today. We were kind of joking a little bit about, I was saying, guys, if Michael J. Fox dies in the next week, we have our trifecta, right? And here's the reason. Michael J. Fox, alongside all this Aussie stuff at the time, very similar time frame, probably within the same month that I was doing all this Aussie and Steve Jobs work, I had identified one of the common call signs or symbols that the Jesuits use in the shadows. They're the foxes. And I did a whole dissertation on this.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
They label themselves as the foxes because they're wily. They can swap out. It's trickery, right? There's this dawning of symbolism when you take on an animal's visage, and they are the fox faction. I named them. There was all this reasoning inside the VSTEG and other popular cultures avenues that I was decoding at the time. But when you see Fox, like even Fox News, that's the Jesuits, man. And so I've never fucking trusted Fox News because it's the other side of the coin. The Jesuit army is in the
other side of the coin. Remember what I sent you today?
Yeah.
The devil's dime or whatever.
Well, here's what's weird about that too, Lisa. I didn't factor this in yet.
Distract you off your.
What's that?
I don't want to.
You're not distracting me at all. I want to get on this topic for a second because the Superman thing, this is what you're talking about. For everybody uninitiated with our private conversation, Lisa shared with me a link to a US Mint certified release schedule for a subscription-based, limited run DC Comics silver minted Liberty coin series that they're going to be doing over the next few years. It's going to feature Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and, you know, all of our VSTEG characters from DC Comics. But alongside that, there's another weird thing happening in that DC Comics is losing the rights to Batman and Superman in 2035 because they're going to be public domain. They'll have been around for 100 years. And they lose their ability to be copywritten after that. And so this is actually something that came into my awareness just this last week. I was like, whoa, there's a weird countdown that's all of a sudden started with this. And DC is aware of this too. You actually look into it, and DC is very actually keenly aware as the business model. Their top 2 characters can no longer be copywritten by them in 10 years' time. So is that natural? I start asking myself these questions. Are they now on a countdown clock to get us all the rest of the storyline in the next 10 years? Before what happened? Well, before their public domain. And, that has its whole other can of worms of connotation to it. But Steganography, I think, is going to unfold significantly too, with the storylines that they come up with and these merchandising deals that they do with the US Mint in that same period of time. These are going to be significant things to look at because of that aspect, So anyway, I've been talking a while. What do you think about all this? You just cast me into the show here today.
Sorry. Yeah. Ozzy dying, then we're watching Trump visiting the Fed.
Yeah.
They told him, no, you can't come. And he said, watch me. I'd love to, I don't know that we need to play the video, but everybody can go watch it. I thought there were some significant points where he whips out a piece of paper and surprises Jerome Powell with, no, it's not 2.3 billion, it's 3.1 billion. And Jerome Powell says, oh, well, that's a Marshall building. Well, what do you mean Marshall? Marshall's a significant—
I don't know if I'm familiar with this clip. This is in reference to what? Like last couple of days?
Just today. Today. And then I think this is one of the most significant things. Trump's wearing a white hat, a hard hat. He and Fed Powell, but not the other guy, are wearing a white hard hat. And Trump says, you can take this off when it's safe.
Well, there might also be another meaning to that. You remember the white hats from the Syrian conflicts in 2014 to 2016?
No.
Look up the white hats. White hats, Syrian conflict. Look them up. Just look them up right now. Look at the iconography that comes up. You'll see why I'm having to do this.
This is what, like Joe was telling me this other thing about these white Russians today and the Bolsheviks and all this. And he's like, Lisa,
I don't know how that might connect. I'm just, for the sake of the steganography and the symbolism, my intuition for our qualia is telling me to tell you
2014 Syrian.
Just look up white hats, Syrian conflict. Just boom. Just do that.
Conflict. Okay. Share this tab instead. Let's go here. The white helmets. Oh, even
white
more
helmets. There you go. Sorry. That's right.
No. Even more prominent. In Syria, officially known as the Syrian Civil Defense, or a volunteer organization focused on humanitarian aid during the Syrian civil war. They are known for their work in search and rescue. Okay, so what they were, he was talking about, well, you're in a basement. Why are they building these basements? And he was saying, you're going to need a reverse bath, or reverse pool, or something like this because of the water. He's saying all this stuff. And, Trump's known for being a builder and knowing about buildings. And he also is the big Trump. Like, he makes Jerome Powell look like a tiny little man in this cut of this video. They are known for their work in search and rescue, providing first aid, their other essential services in conflict-affected areas. While they have been praised for their bravery and dedication, they've also been the subject for disinformation campaigns.
There it is. Do you know what those disinformation campaigns were? So here's the thing. They were caught red-handed staging mass casualty events. Their job in part was to show Assad was just ravaging his population. They were, oh my God, he bombed another building. Look at all these innocents that died. So they would put all these kids in the street, bloody them up with makeup and shit, and the white helmets would go and they would be the photo op people to look like they were aiding them. And a photographer would take some dramatic photos and they'd give it to Time magazine and everyone would be shocked. Oh my God, Assad is a monster. You know, like this kind of shit.
Well, that's what,
Well, there's something to be said for the signaling there, probably. The white helmets are unforgettable part of the story so far. And so if he's donning a white helmet, the other part that everybody has to realize is the white helmets were part of the ISIS brigade. This is all part of Obama's psyop to destroy the ancient world. ISIS had two dictates. It was first to deface ancient artifacts. Did you know that was their first order for their operative capacity? Is to find, and if you came across any ancient artifacts, it was your job to deface them. Mm-hmm. Second was to destabilize the population and the society by, you know, being crazy, fucking zealous, rapacious, fucking degenerates. And they did both, you know, though the ISIS agents did both, but they were employed by Obama administration. And there's some reason why we still are finding out as to why they were trying to deface the ancient artifacts that were in the Middle East.
Well, yeah, that was them looking for their...
We can presume, of course, like, you know, the falsification of history, but...
Right, that goes into a whole nother...
Let's play this. Play this for me.
I'll play this because I think there's... At the end when he says something about being in a safe, it's safe now, or something like that, taking off the white hat, I think there's a there. I'm curious what your thoughts are. So let's listen to this just real quick. It's like 6 minutes. I can even speed it up a little bit, but it's not terrible.
At the construction, and we're with the chairman, as you know. Chairman, come on over. And we're just taking a look at what's happening. You know, it's a tough construction job. They're building basements where they didn't exist or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no question about it. And Tim has been with me for a long time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed. One of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses, wanted to figure out why.
Yeah. So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is.
I'm sorry, the Martin renovation. A third building.
That's a third building.
Where was building
It's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President, does the issue give you any?
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire them.
Do you think Mr. President gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go.
Yes, sir.
So,
Mr. President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you? The country's doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal we made with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion.
Okay, We don't have to go into the
550 billion over 5 years. It's always
the
5, 5, 5, 5.
all the 5 by 5s. But do you see where he's saying like taking off the hat when it's safe?
Yes, I do. But what I want to know is what's the setup to begin with? What is this building that they're in, for instance?
It's the new Federal Reserve. So remember when Fed Powell went to Congress, and supposedly he is being referred to the DOJ for lying to Congress about Powell. I'm sorry. Yes. For lying to Congress about the spending, and supposedly he's over budget, and there's these, beautiful dining halls and expensive water fountains and elaborate oh gosh, what else were they talking about? Elevators and all this kind of stuff. And so Trump's a builder. So he went to go look at the building, and I guess they told him no. He went anyway. And now he's going and he's saying they're spending all this money on basements, and basements are expensive. And you're building basements where basements never were, which I think is odd.
Well, Catherine Austin Fitts is finally gaining traction for showing where all the money went. Underground, a lot of it. She took an interesting approach with Mark Skidmore in proving where a lot of this 21 trillion missing went, when she actually went and looked at the books of the companies involved in the take. And even in the economic downturns, this is one of the interesting things that they pulled up in their disparity. They're trying to, reconcile the accounting books of the government. They pit certain companies' contracts with the government, which are public record, against typical trends in spending in their business vertical in the main. Like, one thing she looked at, for instance, was elevator and escalator companies. One thing that she recognized all throughout the 2008 all the way up through 2015 period is that the contracts were almost exponentially rising on a year-over-year basis with these. It wasn't quite logarithmic growth, but it was substantial growth in the elevator and escalator industry that did not match reality when it came to contracts for new malls being built, contracts for new skyscrapers being built, contracts for new whatever the fuck. It didn't match up with the volume of stuff that was getting installed somewhere that were lifts, escalators, elevators above ground. If you considered only the fact that these companies are getting contracts to build up. When you start to look at all of the business verticals that must support an industry of growth and development and real estate building below ground, and you look at all of the different companies, including, like elevator and escalator companies that were on the take, you see where all the money went pretty clearly. The government's paying all of these people a lot to do something underground, it appears, just based on the algebra and the inferencing that you can build, but if you're, halfway intelligent on the matter. So I think even in the last week, she's been on podcast or two talking about the underground stuff. It's interesting timing, I guess you could say. She's talking about basements. We never got our gold audit from Fort Knox.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with that. There was an excellent interview that Andy Schekman did with his new interview hostess. Oh, yeah? Michelle,
somebody that he hired for the company to do it.
Yeah, well, that's my understanding. So Michelle Macari, I believe is her name.
Oh, Michelle Kashkari.
It's like Macari, Story.
That sounds familiar.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. Really brilliant lady. Go look it up on Miles Franklin YouTube. The first one is this 2-hour interview. They do like a great overview of the history of precious metals, Then they bring us up to current, to date, and what's going on in not only the precious metals market, but the bond. And he even says that his friend Robert Kiyosaki called him or texted him. I apologize, I'm not sure which one, and said that that he qualifies it and says, I can't validate this, but that Robert Kiyosaki said that it's rumored that some of the Japan bond board committed suicide recently because the bond market in Japan is failing so hard. But that the plan is that they are going to, he did an interview with Judy Shelton, which that's amazing. Another great interview to go watch.
Judy Shelton is who now?
So little Judy Shelton is Ruta, remember?
Oh yeah.
We believe.
Who? So somebody has an like a pseudonym that they're going by Jody Shelton or something then?
Judy Shelton.
Yeah.
So she's the one that Nixon, she wrote Money Meltdown, and Nixon wrote her the letters about how the patient needs the medicine.
Oh, that's her?
That's Judy Shelton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there's Nixon again. There's our Nixon connection.
And so anyway, so Andy did an interview with her. I'm getting kind of all over the place. Sorry, guys. But Andy did an interview with her. He mentions that interview and talks about how Judy was talking about how, they're going to need to bring manufacturing here to the US. The dollar, the Fed dollar, will have to get weak to be able to bring the manufacturing here. And it will be painful for us for a little while, but then that will also make the treasuries stronger. And then she has this plan to make these and to launch. She told him, Judy told Andy, let me be clear, don't say she. Judy told Andy that the plan is to launch these 50-year maturing treasury notes for, I want to say it's 50-year. I hope I'm being correct in that. That will be redeemable in gold on July 4th of 2026 on our 250th anniversary of our country.
Not redeemable, but be able to be ordered or purchased or brokered, I'm guessing. Because if they're matured,
no, not matured on that date. I'm sorry, that they would be available. Launched on that date.
They'd be available to position yourself into on that
right.
day.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And that they would be launched on that date. And then and that would be strengthening the treasury. So we'd be moving to this treasury gold-backed dollar. And then he talks about all this gold that's being bought and purchased by all these countries. Anyway, it's a brilliant interview. It's 2 hours long. I really recommend everybody go watch it. And it's really great. And
just this week, it's pretty new.
Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, if that. I waited till we were driving here because it's like a 3-hour drive. So I was waiting so we could listen. My husband and I could listen to it together on the drive. Yeah. But it is a brilliant interview. I recommend everybody go to Miles Franklin on YouTube and listen to that interview. I believe it's Michelle McCory. I believe I'm saying that correctly, but it's Andy and Michelle on Miles Franklin to go listen to that interview. Just brilliant. And if you order any gold or silver from Miles Franklin, please tell them Like when Lisa sent you, because I get a little thank you from them.
Oh, yeah, promo code with them? I didn't even know that.
It's not a code, but they send me a little thank you and it helps my channel. And they're great people over there. And they do have weekly specials. So if you tell them that I sent you, then they tell you what the specials are for that week, for this week or that week or whatever week that you call. And a lot of our Fam Bam orders from them. And that's who we order from. So, but the interview has amazing information in it. And so I just really recommend everybody go listen to that. But it goes along with this Oz moment that we're in and the end of Oz. And then I think about
the end of time,
the end of time, Cliff Eye stuff. Road to Ruta. I mean,
That's why if
go-
Michael J. Fox dies this week too, for the trifecta, I'm just gonna be mic
Well,
drop.
here's the other thing. Mom said, she goes, "Oh my gosh, are we in suicide weekend?"
What? Explain this to me. Suicide weekend. Are we? Have we been waiting for suicide weekend? What's suicide
Oh
weekend?
yeah. Oh yeah. Think about, I mean, if there are, if
Oh,
so,
you're just talking about the breaking point for like exposure. We'll start to see suicides in mass when exposure is imminent. I know what you're talking about.
if Brennan, I mean,
Yeah.
they just listed Tulsi Gabbard just called for Brennan Comey, Clapper, Susan Rice, Obama, Hillary, all to get not just investigated, but like formally charged with the
John Bolton's in there too, right?
I don't know. I didn't hear Bolton. That's a
God
new one for
damn
me,
it.
but sure.
Somebody needs to sock that guy in
Somebody
the
should
mouth.
look at them all. And then if we start seeing, now we've seen Starlink had a huge outage today.
Everywhere's having internet. Like I have to tell you,
Planes are dropping out of the
not
sky.
without like disclosing where I live or anything, but our little community, you know, our little community in the Arizona mountains,
Mhm.
like 2.5. Remember, we were supposed to do a show. It was 2 weeks ago.
I know.
And I experienced an internet outage like right beforehand.
Mhm.
And I didn't have cell phone service. I didn't have
know.
power, and I didn't have internet.
I know.
For what
usually
fucking reason
we-
is that? And there was this weird ominous siren that kept going off all across town that was almost like kind of like an air raid siren or a tornado siren. But you know, and we had like lightning that night, but there was something up. And my friend Corey, who you know, the Phoenix Enigma.
Yes. Yeah. Great guy.
He
Amazing wife.
as a tour guide up in this area had told me for years that several times a year when there are operations that are too important going through the area for the locals to even errantly capture on their camera, they just shut everything down. They just nuke it. And it'll be inexplicable, and the internet will turn off, the power will turn off, and your cell phone tower will turn off, and you can't fucking get a signal out. So there's a reason to have a landline now, but
Oh, it didn't share to the. Did you see? I guess I didn't share it to you guys earlier today. So a lot of weather services will share funny comms. Remember also when I shared about a month ago that NOAA was being shut down, the microwave part of NOAA was being
like
shut
HARP,
down.
like the HARP actually. Like, what are you talking about?
No, you don't remember. I thought you and I did this show. Maybe I did it with Sean.
Listen, Linda, I work 12 hours a day now. I can't be.
Okay, hold on. So
I wish I could keep up with things like I want to. It's almost impossible.
this was about a month ago. The NOAA was to be shut down and then they delayed it to July 31st. NOAA published a notice Wednesday. This was, like I said, a month ago, June 30th.
They're just shutting off their satellites, it says.
They're turning off the satellites. Interesting enough. And then NOAA says the change will be delayed by 1 month until July 31st. The Defense Department receives a request to postpone the removal, and they say it's due to recent services, the Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, blah, 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 Navy fleet will discontinue in just processing and distribution of the data no later than June. But then they say they're going to delay it till we see this July 31st, right? Yeah. And they talk about this change is coming amid cuts in staffing as well as reductions in scientific programs. Okay.
You need staff to fucking man an automated satellite.
No,
it's just fucking.
Wait, it's not though, because one NOAA scientist told The Guardian the changes amount to a systemic destruction of science.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you go into this, they say it is not an issue of funding cuts,
Even though they just said it was.
but it's not.
But they just
These-
said it was above. They're contradicting their own assertions.
No, but that's one saying it's because of it's a destruction of science. But why? It's not an issue of funding cuts. The director of Snow and Ice Data Center, ICE data, federally funded Research Colorado said there are cyber security concerns. That's what we're being told. It uses data to track condition for its ships.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with everything. No, it does. It's coming at the time where this Atlas object is coming in too.
Mm.
You know the thing that is inbound that's matched our orbital plane and is very clearly on a trajectory that is manufactured rather than natural. You know what I'm talking about, like 3i Atlas, the object that's coming into the solar system.
I've heard about it. Yeah, I don't know if it's real or not, but
Well, it's real. Here's what we know about it, though. So it's here's what's anomalous. We had Oumuamua in 2017, and then we had the second one come in 2019 that was called I'm not going to remember the name of it right now. It doesn't matter. The one in 2019 that came quickly followed it up, acted in a similar behavior pattern, and had similar characteristics upon its exit velocity. Its exit velocity only sped up after it catapulted off the sun, the same way that Oumuamua did. And Oumuamua was tumbling end over end in some sort of perpetual motion. Like they said it was a rock, probably wasn't a rock. It was on a very specific trajectory that came in as a probe and somehow exited our heliopause again. The heliopause is the thing that the Voyager aircraft couldn't penetrate. The heliopause is that barrier that the sun creates as it barrels through the interstellar medium that Cliff talks about, right? It creates this terminal edge called the heliopause, which is the boundary, the electric boundary that the two Voyager spacecraft got sent off to in 1974, and only recently got absorbed into that, and they got destroyed. They couldn't penetrate it. Both of the previous objects did. They penetrated back outside of our heliopause after ricocheting off of the sun's orbital gravitational force and went off wherever the fuck it did. And here we have this new one coming in. And people like Avi Loeb, Cliff's even pointed to some of the stuff Avi Loeb has said. Avi is a smarter on the spectrum of the gritologists, as he calls them, because he's a gritologist physicist, but it doesn't make him wrong in a lot of his assumptions about like, these are anomalies. And here's what he's pointing to with this object. It's known. Satellites have captured it. Telescopes can now see it. Your average hobbyist telescope can now see this object in the sky. It was deemed to be a comet when it was first observed in the beginning of this month. It's literally only been 20 days, 3 weeks since we've seen this thing. And it was observed by the Atlas telescope first. That's why it's called like 3i Atlas, because it's an object that whoever was manning that Atlas telescope at the time they first saw it designated it as that object. They named it, and now they are observing it. So interesting that that's the case. There's probably some programmed steganography into the name Atlas too that I haven't really looked into, but the point is that it's coming in from a similar sector of space that those other two objects came from. And it's coming in at a velocity that's very quick, and it's matching the Earth's orbital plane, which is to say our equatorial region. It's coming in at an exact match to the angle at which our orbital plane orbits around the sun and by which we spin. It's coming in at a time when it's going to penetrate right toward us. And because of the way that the orbits of Mars, Venus, and Mercury are too, it's going to pass right by all four of the inner planets, like right by them. And so for what? You know, if this doesn't turn into a comet which is to say it starts spewing off material that creates a tail in the next week, we know it's something else other than a comet. And it's large enough to where you can absolutely rule out natural objects, because the way Avi Loeb even describes it, the gritologist who's observed other percentages of materials and stuff out there, he actually states that there isn't enough floating sediment out in our galaxy to account for 3 instances in a 6-year period of objects that are this large coming at us from the same area. This is now not common chance anymore. There's something more to this, because these objects are too large to, there's not enough material that's floating around out there for us to account for the likelihood of these 3 objects coming at us in such a short successive period of time. It's going to go behind the sun in October, and it's going to park itself there for several days. Cliff has been arguing, now that he's observing this also, that this is why this is probably the kickoff to our big emotional blow up in October. It's related to this object mostly. Coincident with it, you have a bunch of systems here on Earth that we calculate our money by and ledger our money by, and all the things that we've been looking at that could be domino effect. But what's the trigger? What's the trigger to the emotional outburst? Well, it's this Atlas object that's coming in. So just probably 2 weeks from now, we're going to have heightened, elevated, what the fuck? Because this thing is not going to turn into a comet. You and I both know that. Whatever it is going to cause ripple effects. However, it's going to cause ripple effects. Is it friendly? Is it foe? Is the first thing you have to ask, kind of a thing, right? But here we go.
Well, and does it have gravitational effects?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of questions.
Yeah, are we prepped for it? I don't think so. But that's the fun of it too.
Maybe that's Trump's like big push for the whole Golden Dome thing.
Maybe. The Elohim aren't supposed to be back until 2027, I think.
Well,
by
it's
the Jews' timeline.
Rude to show up early.
Yeah.
That is not polite. So.
But I think we're not done with these celebrity deaths. I think the ritualized sense, before we have like
to that point, the suicide weekend is part of Cliff High's data.
I remember it.
Suicide weekend, and so that's where, when we were starting to see these deaths happening, Mom was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then there's like a celebrity chef, and I believe that death was a suicide. I can't remember right now, and Mom said something about, "Oh, are we starting to see this? Are we looking at suicide weekend this weekend?" So we'll see. It'll be interesting. On Monday, we'll know more, I guess. But
yeah,
we always know more after.
I am inclined to go buy some of those DC US mint coins. Whether or not they'll actually ever get minted, that'll be my question. Is if I go subscribe to that coin release schedule that they've got for all the different designs they're going to bring out, because I do want the Batman one. I'll just be honest, I do. But I even, speaking of which, this isn't like a gripe or anything, but the quantum metals very tokens. Do you have a beat on when the new run of those is going to get minted for the people that bought in?
I can find out for you. I can talk to the quantum guys and ask where they are on that.
I'm just curious. It's been a while since I put in.
Yeah, I know they have to wait and do like them in groups. So like they have to wait till the whole group is like purchased or ordered or whatever, and then they run it. So it's like there's one run, and then they wait till everybody orders the next run, and then it prints or something like that. And so it did, like when I was part of the first run, and it took a really long time to get ours.
Well, it sounds like Bix doesn't even have his yet, because I think
a super small batch thing. You know, you're
Yeah.
part of something very, very special. It's a very small batch thing, but
Oh yeah.
you,
So I'm surprised it's not sold out yet because it is so special. These people
yeah,
not knowing what, you know, it's you technically you buy a part of the patent to participate in the unfolding of,
not a part of the patent.
well, excuse me,
The
a part of
patent
the
is owned by Red.
exploits for how the patent will be used in the main, because you now have access to the how do you say, the NFT identifier that gets you that special dispensation as the account holder.
I think it's more like, it's my understanding that it's more like you'll have, it's like having a Microsoft,
Well, that's what Vary is in general. It's like a software code, like just the tokens.
license.
I'm not
kind of
talking about
thing.
the silver
Whatever.
coins. I'm talking, but each Vary token digitally, the digital blockchain representation of it is like the software license. That's what the Viader ran off of, was
Yeah, that's what
software
the
license.
Vader, was. Yeah, before the SEC took it from the token holders.
That thing was so good.
Yeah.
That thing was so good.
Yeah. And then the
Worked
SEC
flawlessly. It was so well designed.
harmed token holders by falsely claiming that it was fraudulent after they saw it work. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. Ron is correcting me, and I appreciate that with sharing more information. You guys are awesome in the chat sharing more information. He said the chef passed from a drug overdose.
The celebrity chef that you mentioned.
Celebrity chef that I mentioned. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that information and correcting me. I appreciate that. Yeah. So everybody, I think we're getting to the end of Oz, the end of the Fed, and that's what. Please go watch that interview with Andy and Michelle. It's really insightful and gives you kind of a road forward, and it will help you plan for the future and take care of your family and your loved ones. And do you have anything else to share before we go?
Keep an eye on the comics that we've identified already for this summer. The Wolverine one's still playing out. I think August 2nd is another key date that's coming up, because August 2nd was technically the opening day of the Intrepid Museum in 1982. Just a second here.
I forgot about
honestly, just a second. Ozzy Osbourne first solo album.
I forgot about all the Intrepid stuff. That
Blizzard of Oz. Was it 1984 or was it 19? It was 1980. Okay. Yeah. Blizzard of Oz. And then Diary of a Madman was his next one.
And the nods to the Intrepid are because of JFK Jr.'s watch that we found.
Yeah. So hold on. The Intrepid Museum. We can go back and do a dissertation on the entire run of the event after it's all played out and show how correct we were on all this stuff. That's always nice. So the Intrepid Museum opened on, I think it was August. So hold on just a second. Thought it was August 3rd. There it is, August 3rd. So August 3rd, 1982. And that's the same date that the third installment of the Wolverine comic came out, when he took on all the Japanese Yakuza gang members and killed all of them. Oh, then we got all the Japanese bankers dying too. So I don't know if there's anything there, but it's interesting. But keep an eye on what's that?
Allegedly. Andy did, say that he didn't have full confirmation.
We will temper our definitive proclamations in this regard. But the fact that we are seeing these celebrities die off, like I said, my guess is that Michael J. Fox is on the next kind of tee-up list. The 88 Steganography with the 88 miles per hour from the Back to the Future movie, Fox faction connotations, the whole 9 yards. I'll have to, we'll have to go into what the Fox faction is then. That's a story.
Yeah, that'll be interesting if that ends up happening over the weekend.
Yeah.
Also tomorrow, of course, is July, which is 7/25, which is 7. And the year is 25, which is 7. So 777, which is biblically the year of completion. And that's 3 sevens. So 777. So you can imagine that would be a big day.
Yeah.
And a big Friday ending the week with a big boom. So everybody just be safe and look out for each other and be smart. Take care of one another and
watch out for space alien objects in your telescope.
that's right. And there's a big meteor shower right about now, I believe, as well. So
Perseid
look
or
out.
the Leonid? I think it's the Leonid.
Something like that. So check that out. And oh, my computer is acting up. My computer keeps going like dark light, dark light, dark light. So I don't know what's happening here. All right, I'm gonna check you guys out later. I did a live stream that was like 6 hours long, waiting for my dragon egg to hatch earlier today, so you can check that out.
Oh yeah, what is that? Is that a game? What are you talking about with that?
So Dracaria.com, my buddies over at Dragon Chain have this amazing
Dragon
project.
Chain guys. They made a little game.
Well, it's not a little game, but it's a project where and people can build on it. It's a platform. They're going to do much more with it. There's other people adding to it. The images for it are the artists on it are the people from Game of Thrones, and it's just amazing, really cool project. And here's my dragon that just hatched today.
It's like a trading card kind of a thing.
Part of it is you're going to be able to breed dragons, exchange dragons, trade.
Yeah, I understand. This is kind of like what all of everyone was trying to achieve with the NFT games, but couldn't really quite get off the ground to the right capacity a couple of years ago.
They're going to have 3D models eventually. They're going to have different poses. They have different like strengths. Then there's eggs, and then there's giveaways with the keys and the eggs and the dragons and there's all kinds of stuff.
I understand all of it. They're going back. They're going to revive some NFT collectability in some of this realm. Is what
there's all kinds of stuff. And then people can build, like individuals you can take your dragons off and play them in other games. You can, I don't know, do all kinds of things. So it's a project, but anybody can go join with just an email. Go to dracaria.com. There's a link in the description of this video, I believe. And I don't get anything for it, but I think it's a great community to join and be a part of. I really have a lot of respect for Dragon Chain and those guys over there. Obviously, they're my friends. And you just have an email and you join. They are going to be giving away keys, which is how like you then get to spawn an egg for free, but you can also purchase an egg at every certain interval, and you can find out more about it if you go watch a show that I did with Joe last Wednesday on my channel. So check that out as well. So kind of some fun stuff.
Congratulations on the new member of your family.
Thank you. And it's a girl.
Adorable new
it's a girl. So I was so excited. So we'll be having baby dragons in the future. Yeah. Super excited. All right. Well, you guys take care. Sorry for springing this on you, Skullcap. I was like, I had it all set up from doing the dragon thing for 6 hours, and then I hit the button. And
I mean, most of the stuff is, I wouldn't have time to go totally into the Aussie dissertation with the audience anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait to go watch that because I had no idea he had that whole other life. Yeah, you guys go watch.
It's not even the whole. Well, I guess he was with his first wife and everything. It kind of was the whole other life. He has two kids that were more off the grid than Sharon's kids that he shared with her. So consider it, everyone. Sharon's not the benevolent. She's the worm in the mind. She's the worm in the mind.
That's so sad. Yeah.
It is sad. It's really sad. Like,
Yeah.
terribly so. Like, just I guess bang one out for me up there, Ozzy. You know, like Changes, the song Changes always brings me to tears. It's a beautiful song.
Oh. All right. Well, you guys heard it here. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on Happy Hour. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.